Noche UFC post show. Diego Lopez knocks out Jean Silva in round two, ends the hype train, if you will. Call it hype. I don't think it was hype, but that might be the expression. Um, Also, fighting nerds, they've all lost now. We're talking Mauricio Ruffy, uh, Caio Baralho, Jean Silva. That's all in the last 2 weeks. And then obviously Carlos Prates coming off a loss as well earlier this year to Ian Gary. So that team was hot fire at the beginning of 2025, and they've all taken losses now. Granted, Prates did come back with a big win of a spinning elbow of his own. Diego Lopez, I mean, he proved that there's levels. That's what he said in his Octagon interview as well. He proved that there's levels. I think definitely two things. One more fight if Volkanovski happens to beat Lerone Murphy. Um, and that would have to be Aljamain Sterling or maybe a Movsar, but preferably Movsar. And I think if Lerone Murphy were to win, you can give Diego Lopez the shot against Lerone. You might ask, oh, well, then what do you do with Movsar, number one contender? Well, Movsar and Aljo can run it back if you ask me. That'd be fine too. Um, just looking at the rankings though, yeah, Aljo's number 5. In between them is Lerone, Yair, and Diego. So let's say, Diego and Lerone end up running it for some reason. Movsar and Aljo can rerun it. No, I don't want to see Yair Rodriguez versus Movsar. We all know what's going to happen. In the co-main, we had a bit of an upset, I believe. Rob Font takes a unanimous decision loss to David Martinez. Young buck David Martinez, 27 years old, took the fight on somewhat short notice. He was scheduled to fight, what's his name? He was scheduled to fight Kwong Lee, but then Raul Rosas Jr. pulled out of Rob Font's fight in the co-main event, so they moved David Martinez up to the co-main, and they stuck Lee with a different opponent. So David Martinez capitalized big on this opportunity, broke Rob Font pretty much late in the fight with his, speed and power pretty much. Just all 3 rounds, I'm talking speed and power, this guy. He had a little slower of a second round, but he came back and, recovered enough energy. So in the third, he outdid Rob Font's pace and broke him in the third round. Got himself the unanimous decision win in a must-win round because it was 1-1 going into the third. So Martinez certified for sure, improves to 13-1. Hoffa Garcia knocks out Jared Gordon. Nasty knockout in a fight of the night contender. This is my fight of the night right here. Hoffa Garcia versus Jared Gordon. Both guys refused to take any back steps, and as soon as Gordon got late in round 3, he took a couple back steps, and that's when it really was over for him. So congrats to Hoffa Garcia on the win, and congrats to Jared Gordon as well on the fight. Hopefully they get fight of the night bonus. But Jared Gordon, this is why he's a fan favorite. Andy was a big favorite going into it, but this is why he's a fan favorite. People love Jared Gordon's fighting style. And Hoffa Garcia, if you don't know, now you know. Bottom line, if you don't know, now you know when it comes to Hoffa Garcia. Certified. And he's been that way. He's had a rough UFC tenure. Had a rough early start. He's 6-4 now. Let's see where Hoffa Garcia goes from here. Now, we got Kelvin Gastelum, who missed weight, the notorious weight miss. Gets the unanimous decision victory off of Dustin Stoltzfus. This is probably the second fight of that contender right here. Great fight. Dustin Stoltzfus fought his heart out there. Nothing to hang your head on. And he proved that he can hang too with the best of them because Kelvin Gastelum is not an easy win. I mean, Kelvin got a win over D-Rod recently, you know, so Kelvin Gastelum ain't an easy win. Squeaked out a unanimous decision win, though. I think he lost the first round and then won the last two. What else here? Now, the biggest issue with this fight is that afterwards, Kelvin gets the win. He says it was bittersweet, but he blames the weight miss on only getting 4 weeks. Now, keep in mind, 4 weeks notice. Now, keep in mind, Kelvin started his UFC career at 170, was insistent on staying there. After missing weight like 3 times, Dana told him, fucking, no, you got to move up. Still wanted to go back to 170 for years and years and years. And it's like, bro, how big are you getting out of camp? Like 240? You can't get down to 185 in 4 weeks? Like, how big are you getting outside of camp? You know that's where you fight at. You need 6-week camps and shit like that. Your fights fall out too often to, like, you know, give you that much notice, I think. So Kelvin needs to figure his shit out. Probably don't get so big out of camp. And where does he go from here? Probably light heavyweight. I can't even tell you an opponent, bro. All I can tell you is a weight class. But if you can't make middleweight in 4 weeks, then you need to start getting offered like light heavyweight opponents and shit. If that's where you're at in your career. But, I mean, Kelvin Gastelum, an elite fighter, you know, great fighter, could have been a champ at 170 probably, honestly. But he's always had weight troubles his whole career. 5 times missed weight. Stoltzfus, he's certified, give him anyone in the top 15. Let me just make sure I don't sound crazy saying that. Well, considering Kelvin's not even ranked, maybe not. But Stoltzfus can have a good opponent, you know. We'll figure that out another day. Alexander Hernandez knocks out Diego Ferreira. I loved his approach going into this fight. He basically won the fight with his right hand. I mean, the entire fight was just right hands. Switching it up, switching stances, using it as a jab, using it as a fucking overhand right. But either way, Alexander Hernandez controlled the fight the entire time. Stuck to his game plan. Obviously, he came in there with the game plan and stuck to it. And Diego was very reactive to his game plan. I think maybe Diego, because he had Damon Jackson in his corner, was expecting a different Hernandez than we've seen in the past. The Hernandez that may have lost to Damon Jackson. And Ferreira didn't see a lot of the stuff he was expecting. That's what it looked like in the fight. Ferreira was a little bit thrown off, was trying to react to certain things, and he wasn't getting that from Hernandez. And then he was starting to fall behind as the rounds were going on. So credit to Hernandez. I say give Hernandez anybody in the top 15. And I don't even need to look that up. I already looked it up. So Hernandez, anyone in the top 15 is good for him. He called out Michael Chandler. And I just want to put it out there. That's not a ridiculous call out. That's a great call out. He can call out Michael Chandler. He's been in the UFC for a long time. I mean, let's just see, right? He's 10-7 in the UFC. Better fucking average than Michael Chandler. So I don't want to hear it. Okay, I don't want to hear it. 17 fights in the UFC. Chandler ain't got 17 fights in the UFC, and he's got a winning percentage. Chandler don't got a winning percentage. Chandler would be lucky if the UFC offers them this fight. If he doesn't get this fight, then he can fight anybody in the top 15. I'm good with it. Santiago Lima versus Kwong Lee. We're not going to spend too much time on these lower ones, but let me just keep it a buck. Santiago Luna, prospect, young buck, 21 years old, the real deal, no hype. I'm high on this kid, so just do your thing, brother. Do your thing. No need to overhype this man. He got a tough opponent in his UFC debut. The 9-2 Kwong Lee, who was already training, right? He was on a full training camp. Lei did switch opponents. So, hats off to him too for the short notice, switch up and accepting it. But, Lei, 33 years old, taking on a 21-year-old, Luna delivered in his debut. All finishes in his 7-0 win streak. Submissions and knockouts. Dusko Todorovic, Jose Medina. You got to cut Medina. Huge mismatch here. Congrats to Dusko. Hope your knee recovers. He had a torn ACL going into it. He looked a little bit flabby on the physique, but it's all good. Revealed he had a torn ACL or MCL, so he'll be fine. Joaquin Silva, Claudio Puelles. Puelles sold this fight for himself, in my opinion. You know, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Congrats to Joaquin Silva. And we're going to skip back all the way down to Zach Reese and SD Dumas. You know, that's a brutal one. You know, SD Dumas obviously got locked up for some alleged crimes after his loss to Michelle Oleksiejczuk, I believe, in April. Let's just be sure about that. When did SD lose to Michelle? Yeah, in April. And then he got released. Soon after he got released, he got offered a fight against Jackson McVeigh in June, only on like a week's notice. Took that fight. However, he was on he had an ankle monitor on probation or some shit like that after his release. After he bailed out. And so the judge wouldn't get approval to remove the ankle monitor in time for the fight because it was only a week's notice. Had to pull out of that one. You know, he's been homeless essentially since he got out of jail. Been basically homeless, broke. Revealed he had $13 in his bank account this fight week. Steps in the octagon against Zach Reese. Since it adds to the story, another fight that got canceled earlier this year in January due to SD having to pull out because of an injury. So, you know, he's getting graces, getting another fight offered in Zach Reese for a second time. And this one goes to a no contest because Zach Reese kicks SD in the nuts 51 seconds into the first round. Not even a minute of fighting after all that buildup for SD. After this fight fell through once before. Crazy. Crazy. So where does SD go from here? You know, it's 3-3-1 now in the UFC. Is he scheming? What's the scheme? You know, what's the play here? What's the angle for SD? What's he scheming if he's scheming something off of taking that no contest? Did he feel like he might have taken an L? I don't know. I don't personally think that, but I'm just playing around being like, what's the scheme, you know? But I would love to like ask SD like where he thinks he goes from here, you know, where he thinks he stands with the UFC, how many more fights he has on his contract. I would like to know all these things, so maybe we can get him on and ask him. But he said he couldn't feel his right nut, so shout out to SD's right nut, bro. Hopefully that makes a full recovery. We wish that on no man. And that's the fight card. Last thing I'll say is Danil Donchenko from this previous season of The Ultimate Fighter, one of DC's guys from Tough. He's the future. He's a prospect. Look out for him at... I'm trying to find his weight. Where's his fucking weight? Oh, at 170 pounds. Look out for this guy. 24 years old. Got the future ahead of him. World ahead of him. Yeah, this guy's got the world ahead of him. He's a champion in an organization before the UFC. He is 12-2. Currently riding a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fight win streak. Now, 2 of those fights of the 7 fight win streak aren't on his record because they were on Tough. So, make of that what you will. But makes it even more impressive the fact that he fought literally February 19th and then March 12th. So less than a month apart, 3 weeks. Got a unanimous decision win and a round 1 knockout. So, coming off a first round knockout in his UFC debut, congratulations to Danil Donchenko. This kid is the future right here, I believe. He's from Ukraine, so shout out to Ukraine. And that is the post show. That is the post show. I can say bonuses real quick. So knockout of the night, I would say has to go to Diego Lopez, or call it performance of the night goes to Diego Lopez. And then I would say man, tough one, you know. Hernandez got a really good knockout. Santiago got a good knockout. I would go like... Shit, if they do submission of the night, Dusko, it makes it easy to just give it to Dusko. But I'll give it to Hernandez. Got it over a tougher opponent. Knocked his ass out. I'll give it to Hernandez. Congrats to Luna as well, though. I watched the finish back. Silva got cut when he fell onto Lopes' knee after the elbow. That was brutal, bro. When he fell on Lopez's knee, too, that was like dead weight because he got dropped. So, hopefully Jean Silva's all right. I think the Fighting Nerds will be back, man. It's just, they made it to the top of their divisions, all of them at the same time, and maybe, they needed a slower rise. Maybe this was always going to happen. It is what it is, though. They won the fights to get there. I think Jean Silva is a pretty skilled guy, though, to be honest with you. I think he just needs to work on some IQ. He had his moments in the fight, and then he just crashed out towards the end there and got knocked out. So I think when he watches that back, he's got, a lot of blame to put on himself for leaving himself open to getting knocked out so easily. Especially seeing what happened to Aaron Pico recently. But only Jean Silva can answer why he started fighting like that.